How is your mom now?
Alhamdulillah, she's good. She's getting better. But at that age, it's up and down. She's 90. So, yeah. But she's good, she's good. Yes, what can I do? You frightened me there. I think it's just to pick up the mic. Am I right?
It's an extra mic.
Right, okay, that's fine.
Cool.
That's fine, not a problem at all.
So, Shabir, the other day, of course, we caught up briefly. I don't know if you've been following what has been happening at the park with some of the debates we have been doing. Essentially, one of the crucial points we are trying to get to is to establish the fact that God of the Bible, Yahweh, Jesus, is of course not at all the same as Islamic Allah. They are polar opposites. And that is a prime theme that we are trying to advance. Just so Christians could be clear, Jews could be clear that Islamic Allah is not the God of the Bible. And likewise, Muslims like you also, some of the sincere ones could also be clear in seeing, of course, God of the Bible is not Islamic Allah, and therefore that could give you a chance to get to the God of the Bible. That's our motivation, and that is where I was I brought up this point about Sharia versus Torah, and my main point there isn't to deal with the jurisprudence, not the law, but rather to establish the nature of God. And of course, one of the things that show up as part of the nature of God is morality of God. Yeah. So that's the background to.
I see. I understand.
So,
right, not a problem at all, Arul. The issue here is that when we had our conversation a few weeks ago, I was very particular about the words that were being employed with you. And I even asked you, I said, Arul, are you talking about the legal elements? And you said yes. I said, okay, well, if that is the case, then we ought to include the New Testament also, because there are legal elements in there. However, and also you were very clear that it's the Torah and the Quran. But from what you have just said now, I can fully understand that what you are saying is that no, the Bible, collectively, the Quran or Islam, let's basically say Christianity and Islam, okay? From my angle, yeah, what you are saying, Arul, is that look, how the Creator is perceived in Christianity and how the Creator is perceived in Islam is the issue here that we need to address.
yes.
Yeah? Excellent.
The characteristic of Islamic Allah versus Yahweh.
Right, okay.
Moral aspects,
right.
Morality. Thereby, my ultimate point is going to be Yahweh is not the same at all with Allah. They are polar opposites, different gods. You might, if you follow some of the SOCO films videos, you'd already see that Muhammad, I think he's a sheikh. So I don't know what sheikh means, but he is someone who's supposed to know Quran. And he,
oh, Brother Muhammad, the Arab.
The Arab.
With the glasses.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he clearly agreed.
We never claim, Muslims, we never claim that Allah is Yahweh. Perfect. We never claim this.
Good.
Yeah, we never claim this. For you to know.
Excellent.
Yeah, excellent.
Excellent.
We never claim this.
And then subsequently, we also had another debate with him, and then also with Shamshi.
Yeah.
And there they agreed that Islam is nothing but human reaction to situations that we might get into. Nothing to do with supernatural elements in terms of morality.
Yeah.
So
Well, actually, can I just address that? I think you are being unfair to Brother Shamsi. I did watch that. Brother Shamsi said something to you, and in your 3 minutes, you then said what he had not really said. He was explaining to you, and I don't want to go too much into that, but that was a conversation between. But I can say, if you have a look at the video again, you are being somewhat unjust to him. He was actually saying something else, but you, I mean, if I could just, I was about to say, you concluded, Arul, what you thought he had actually said when he hadn't really said that. So, but leave that aside.
Yeah, so just to remind you quickly, Shabir, ignoring the word used, the point was, his point was, of course, if you are in trouble, you can lie. That was his point. And that is what he qualified as a normal human reaction. Now, use any other word you might want to use. My only point there is, when it's, of course, regular human reaction, especially when it comes to lying, which goes against the commandment of God, what I'd say is that's, of course, not of God. But you are right. I wanted to suggest a particular theme today in regards to the Torah versus Sharia. And the particular theme was in relation to keeping oaths. Oaths, covenant, keeping contracts, contractual obligations.
Keeping agreements.
Agreements.
Okay.
Sticking to an agreement.
OATHS.
Yeah.
Oaths.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. My friends,
it's okay.
I know my friends
Yeah,
have
no
trouble
worries.
understanding
No worries. No
my
worries.
accent on that. I do apologize.
Yeah,
So keeping an agreement
Tell me.
in that regard, if we can again compare and contrast Yahweh with Islamic Allah, and there my conclusion is going to be again, Yahweh obviously is polar opposite to Islamic Allah.
Okay.
And so hopefully you could also agree, like Muhammad
Right.
Sheikh, you could also agree today.
Yeah.
Of course they are not the same, they are very different.
Right. Okay. I can see your proposition, but I'm going to put my proposition forward. I told you then, and I'll tell you again, that from my perspective, the creator, by definition, can only be one. So the very idea, the notion that there's a different God in the Bible and a different God in the Quran is alien by the very standards of the books themselves. Okay? So there can only be one creator, and if there is any polar opposite, using your wording, if there is any polar opposite, then it would be due to the misunderstanding of one party and another. It certainly is not because there seems to be more than one God. Yeah. So if we were to look at it the way we had agreed initially, we were going to look at the Torah and we are going to look at the Quran. Now, I actually had suggested to you, brother, look, do you want to include the New Testament? Because it was legal elements. It seems like the discussion now has taken a slight diversion from what we had originally agreed. I don't mind if that's how you want to take it. But what we should be discussing, if we are going to talk about the nature of the Creator, then it has to be in totality.
Yeah,
not
all the Bible. Yeah, so I
not
apologize.
restricted to a particular aspect only. That would be unfair.
Oh no, in the interest of time. We haven't got much time. How much time have we got?
Arul,
45 minutes.
Arul, in the interest of time, I agree with you, but to come and then change the very basis of the discussion is being somewhat disingenuous.
I do apologize if it comes.
Apology
across like
accepted.
that. Thank you.
But we
can work out a good way forward.
I hope
Shabir.
so.
My point is, if we take, so my point, just so we are on the same page again, my point is I am suggesting that I'd like to compare Yahweh of the Bible with the Islamic Allah.
Okay.
And especially by taking this element of what their specific take on, Islamic Allah's take versus Yahweh's take on keeping an oath, keeping a contract, keeping an agreement, what their specific take on this particular thing. And there my conclusion is going to be, obviously they have a completely different stance. And based on that, if we could come to any conclusion in the next 45 minutes or so, if we add anything to that, I'm willing to do anything on top of that, maybe on another occasion, but just in the interest of time.
No. In the interest of time, I have no problem with that, Arul.
Cool.
My concern is that if in a period of 3 weeks you've already changed the goalposts, then I am expecting goalposts changing in the conversation itself. Again, I don't mind, yeah? At the end of the day, we are here to try and establish certain things, and that is what we want to do. So, yes, I have no problem with that if you want to take that approach. But one thing I am saying again is that logic will dictate that there can only be one creator. So if you are going to talk about the difference between the approach of the creator in what you call the Bible and the Quran, I would suggest to you that the only difference that you will see, this polar opposite, is in the understanding of what the contents of the two respective books say.
Yeah, I'll make just one last remark before jumping onto the specific subject, purely because you're making this point again.
Yeah,
and
sure.
again. The point is, I do appreciate there's only one creator. Only one. And I think that is the God of the Bible.
You said two.
No, I think that it's only the God
At
of the
the
Bible.
start, Arul, you said two.
Unfortunately though, people think the Quran or the Quran has a revelation from the creator, or in other words, Islamic Allah is the creator. People think that is the case, people like you, and there are many other well-intentioned people who think that way, and that is why I am bringing in the challenge now to say, no, that can't be true. Obviously, they are different, and we have reasons to trust in the Bible because there is supernatural revelation there, but there is none here, and therefore the one creator has to be the God of the Bible.
Yeah.
That would be my logical flow.
But
for now,
that's
keep
fine.
goats.
That's fine. What we'll do, Arul, we'll have a conversation.
Yeah.
But one of the things I am also going to say is that you are making bullet points which ought to be discussed to establish whether they are valid or not. For example, you just said there's a supernatural aspect to the Bible.
Yep.
Okay. We need to discuss it whether there is or there isn't.
I'm willing.
Now that's a different matter altogether.
Absolutely.
So what I am saying is that look, in the interest of fairness, I would suggest don't bring in aspects which they themselves require a discussion on, and then follow that basis and then lead to a conclusion.
Cool.
That's being
I'll
unfair.
leave that for
so what I would
later-
suggest,
later discussion.
Yeah, what I would
Can I-
suggest we do here, we want to talk about the understanding of what the creator is. In terms of the oaths, it's a very loose word you have applied, but I'll go with it anyway and we'll proceed.
Yeah, cool. And did you want this to be particularly timed, or I'm willing?
No,
for a
it's better a
conversation?
conversation.
Okay,
I
cool,
prefer
that's
it that way. And you will find me not interjecting constantly. I will never do that. And I hope you don't do the same.
Yeah, I'll roughly stick to something like maybe 3 to 5 minutes on. The first introduction is going to.
Go
be-
ahead, go
So
ahead.
I'd like to set the context properly.
Yeah, go ahead.
So to set the context properly, I'm going to read one particular verse from the Quran, which is Surah 66, Ayah 2.
Can I have the-
Surah 66, Ayah 2.
Yeah.
It says, Allah has made lawful for you, i.e. Muslims, absolution from your oaths. And Allah is your protector. He is the knower, the wise. So here, of course, the context, it's a wider context in relation to Muhammad and his wives. A few things were happening. Now,
Yeah.
those things in themselves are available for a longer discussion. My focus is not that. My focus is purely on the keeping of the oath. And here, my point is Allah, Islamic Allah thinks people can have absolution from their oaths. That's something he thinks is legally valid. You can agree on something and then later think, you know what, no, I don't agree on that for whatever reason. That is what Islamic Allah thinks,
Okay.
legally.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, so that's what he thinks legally.
Okay.
Now, if I were to contrast that against the character of Yahweh of the Bible, I see a completely different thing there.
Okay.
What I see in Yahweh of the Bible is, Yahweh of the Bible is someone who keeps his word, period. No ifs, no buts, no revisions at any later date. When he says something, that is what he says.
Can you give me an example?
Exactly. I'm going to go there exactly just now. I can read to you scriptures.
Yeah.
It's going to take a few minutes. So I don't know if. So 1 second, please. Let me read to you a passage from 2 Samuel, chapter 21, verses 1 to 14. Just give me 1 minute. Let me get that. I was hoping to have my Bible with me, but I need to stick to my.
1 second.
Yeah, sure.
Hold this. Hold this.
Sorry.
Right. Give me 1 second, Arul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold. Which one do you want?
No, I want my notes, my Bible. Sorry, 1 second.
Why is your Bible? There's no difference.
No, I have my notes on them. I have
okay.
That's the only reason.
Okay, not a problem.
So, yeah, cool. So
Can I just ask which version this is?
No, that's that. Wait, why is that?
There's no harm in you telling me. Which version is this?
This one. Why do you ask, Shabir? Just so I know.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
So that I can understand.
Yeah.
which one you are using and whether there's a difference with the ones that I use.
No. In terms of content, they'd all be the same.
No. I'm asking which version is this?
So the translation that I use.
Arul, respectfully, it's simple.
Yeah.
Is it the King James? Is
No,
it the New
translation
International
I
Version?
use-
Which one is it?
The translation I use is what is called the New King James.
Excellent, thank you. It was simple. Why did you have to try and go all the way?
You know,
I'm not going to try and trip you up, don't worry.
Shabir, you are a very knowledgeable man, and you know.
You are entitled to
at
your
the-
opinion.
Well, and I genuinely think that in terms of some of the
Please,
things,
yeah,
some of the
sure.
points you make. But the point is, you should know about the park, and in the park, Muslims have been incorrectly advancing this idea that different versions actually mean different Bibles. And I don't for a moment say you, someone as qualified as you, would
Yep.
make that kind of point at all. But I'm just suggesting other people do, and I didn't want your statements to be misconstrued. That's the only reason I hesitate to answer your.
Before you do that, Arul, you see, respectfully,
Yeah.
you must accept the majority of the people who are misconstruing Islam are that sister there, what is she called?
The refugees.
Khatun, the other brothers also. However, the position you must accept, that when the Muslim says about the versions, you've got to accept that because I've got two right now. You will. If I
Shabir,
can, no, one
Shabir,
second,
with all-
I didn't
I'll let you
interject.
finish.
Please let me finish. And it's only valid that if the Muslims are saying their versions, here is one, and here is another, and here is another. You've got to accept that this one is not the same as this one, and these two are not the same as this one. When you use the word translation here, this, respectfully, is not a translation because these have got more books. This is just as a side point because it would be unfair on the Muslims to say that they are trying to misconstrue things when the truth is that there are more books in one than the other. So anyway, carry on.
Shabir,
Carry on.
you have sneaked in a few points which are completely incorrect there, which you shouldn't. I didn't expect you to do that.
I didn't do
And
anything
This is
of the
why
kind.
I hesitated in answering your previous question. If you wanted, I can have a lengthy discussion with you on Bible and its text. Just because you on camera spoke over my sister Hatun, I should
no,
make
I'm
this
saying
point.
that.
I should make this
Yeah.
point. She is my dear sister,
And I don't have any problem against that.
And in as far as what I have heard her say at the park, I don't think she advances any wrong idea. She might come about, she might make points in a way which you might not like, but still which are true points which are useful for others
Okay.
to hear. Now, and
According to who?
No.
I don't want to argue about
No,
that.
I don't-
She's a dear sister.
Yeah,
I
I-
just want to. I
she-
just don't
she's-
want you to disrespect her.
Arul,
at this stage.
I will not.
Now-
If it came across, I take it back. But what I said to you is that look, when you are talking about the Muslims,
if you,
the
Shabir,
versions are there.
Shabir,
please.
you must
Carry on,
remember.
carry on.
Like I said, the one reason, the very important reason I said you must know, you would know your stuff, is because I'm sure you would be following what's happening at the park, and you would know. Not long ago,
Nobody give her
the very same Hatun you mentioned about brought in 30 different Qurans to the park. 30 different Qurans. If you want to have a long chat about that, I'm willing to have. But that's not what we're talking about now.
We'll
Let's not-
do that. We'll do that.
By all
So
means.
there's no
So there are 30
no
Qurans
misconstruence
and there are
here.
a few translations of the
There's only
Bible.
one
Let's get to
No, don't worry. That's usual. Let them. It's okay.
the Shabir.
Carry
Let's stick to the point. of
Exactly.
discussion.
I'm trying to.
No, you were the
Stay
one
away.
who were asking me about version and this and that, and then sneaked in a few points.
I had
And you
to.
wanted to tongue in cheek. You wanted to make a few remarks.
Arul.
You are the one who did that.
Arul, do you accept this
What?
as a Bible?
Well, it seems like.
Do you accept it?
Well, that seems.
Would you
like
take teaching from it?
Well, the Bible, yes.
Would you take this one?
Shabir, what's
There
the
you
object
are.
of our
Thank you.
discussion? What's our object
no,
of discussion?
Arul, you see, I said to you at the start, brother, if you are going to, no, I said it very clearly.
Shabir, I am a Christian.
I am not.
Shabir, you're making a few points which I'm
Arul.
not happy with, Shabir. I am a Christian. Take the number of books in the New Testament there. 27 books. Jesus died, came back alive. You carrying any number of those books isn't going to help you at all.
The same
Every single
Brother,
Bible,
brother.
every single Bible you can have access to at the park. Jesus died, came back alive. Jesus claimed to be God. He was worshipped as the Yahweh of the Old Testament. That is what you would find. Doesn't help the Islamic agenda. Let's put an end to that there.
Arul.
Let's move on to the topic
Arul.
of discussion, please.
Arul.
Shabir, Let's get back to the
I'm
topic.
allowing you to speak.
I
Allow
know,
me to speak.
but
what I'm
this
going
is a diversion already.
It's not at all. You start.
is.
Look. Am I going to? Are you going to allow me to? I
started
Arul, I was
Are you
silent.
with him?
Nazir bhai.
Did he not ask me what version I am using?
Arul, listen.
Did he not do that?
Arul.
How
Arul,
can you say I started it?
Arul, brother,
You
listen.
had a mighty go about other Muslims.
Brother, please,
when
brother.
he said
He's kindly
that
talking to me,
sister,
brother.
With respect, you
Brother.
disagreed with him, started slanting.
Yeah,
disagree
brother,
with
wait, one
Muslim.
second.
That is
Cut
true.
out
That's not
the-
Thank you.
a
Cut
No,
out
don't worry.
the
observation.
We keep, yeah, thank you. Look, Arul,
Shabir, with all due respect to you, shall we
again,
get back to the
I have not interjected when you spoke. I said to you, Arul, at the start that, look, if you are going to bring points,
You know,
I'm going to have to respond because that would be unfair.
Shabir,
One second,
you
one
are
second,
the
one
one-
second.
I was looking
Look,
for a Bible. You
Arul-
were the one who went there, brought those
Arul,
two.
you are taking advantage of my kindness now, aren't you? I'm not interjecting when you are speaking. Please give me the same respect. I said to you, when you brought about, you said, look, oh, I wanted my Bible. I went and I pulled them out. I said, oh, which one? Okay? I didn't mind because, look, as a Christian, and you emphasized that you're a Christian. As a Christian, you tell only the truth, don't you? You do.
Which is what I have
You
done.
do. One second. You do. So when I'm asking you truthfully, do you accept this to be the inspired word of God? Your answer should be yes. But what I'm saying to you is simple. As a Christian, you can't lie, you can't deceive. That's what you are telling me.
Cool,
But
Shabir. I think we've
one
gone
second,
on a
one second, one
tangent
second,
now.
one
We should
second,
get
one
back
second,
to
one
the
second.
discussion.
Again, you're interjecting. What I am saying, my position about the Muslims here was that, look, they are only being fair, that they are different versions. You brought up the 30 Quran one, not a problem. I don't have an issue at all. But what I am saying is, if we are going to do something, let's do it properly. So, you have brought 2 Samuels. Yeah? Now, is that part of the Tanakh?
Why are you asking me this now?
Look, isn't it part of the Bible?
It is.
It is. Now,
Why are you asking me now?
I'll tell you why. Because when we had our conversation, it was to do with the Torah and the Quran. My view, and I'm saying this, that we do it the right way. You are directly going into the verses, okay, without having established whether what we have has any element of truth. So, if
There we
one
go.
second, let me
Shabir,
finish.
Shabir, I'm
let
beginning
me
to see
finish.
deception already here.
Let me finish.
I'm really beginning to. Shall we
Are you
get
going to allow me to finish?
about what? We have a
Let
topic.
me finish my conversation with you in a civilized, decent manner. That's what Muslims are supposed to do. I'm doing that. What I was about to say to you, you didn't even know and you automatically assumed. I was about to say to you, look, I am sticking to the script we agreed, the Torah and the Quran. Logic tells me that, look, the first thing we have to do is establish, as you are a Christian, yeah? I know, I'm aware, and I'm sure you are aware, that the distinction, before we go into whether the verse says this and the verse says that, the distinction that is made by the Jews and the Christians in relation to how many books are the canon are different. Do you agree?
Shabir,
You don't agree?
Shabir,
Yes.
I haven't interjected you now. Am I hearing you right? Are you essentially saying in a debate that we just began 10 minutes ago, where we were going to talk about keeping oaths, are you saying we must now discuss the canon first and get to this? Is that what I'm hearing from you? Is that really what I'm hearing from you?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
I said to you, I'm trying to keep to the script we agreed, but I will follow you through if you want to talk only about the oaths. But there is one very important thing, Arul, you are missing.
The canon.
No. If you are going to relate a verse, doesn't logic tell you and tell me that we have to establish the validity of that statement first?
In other words, the veracity
No.
of the manuscript.
Do you agree? Should we establish the validity of that verse? Because if
What
we
do you
are,
mean by validity? What do
I
you
thought so. I'll tell you what I mean, Arul. Look, if I am going to accept this readily, yes.
When you say
One
accept,
second,
what
wait.
do you mean?
I'm trying to explain. If I am going to accept this readily as it is, should I accept it as the word of God in totality?
In other words,
No.
you are now
Should
first
I?
trying to advance the idea of whether this is canon or not, which is what I said earlier. You said no.
No.
What do you want to do now?
No,
This is
I'm
the
not
Bible.
doing anything.
So, in other words, what I see you do
Right,
is a
Arul,
very simple
I-
thing.
I'll tell you what,
Shabir,
I
what
think
I
this is
see
a-
you do is a very simple thing, which is, we began with a simple topic. I thought you were genuinely going to engage with me on that topic. If you had said you weren't prepared for that topic and you wanted us to debate that later, I am fine with that. If that is what you had said, I would be completely fine with that. But that is not what you're saying. What you're rather saying is, I'm assuming, and here I can only guess. To me, it seems like maybe you're not prepared to debate on the particular topic. Maybe you're not ashamed. You're ashamed. Maybe you can't defend the Islamic Allah, and therefore you're trying to extend our conversation even before we come to the subject that we thought we were going to discuss by talking about all sorts of other things like canon and so on. That's my perception. I could be entirely wrong. Just prove me wrong, Shabir. I really was expecting something much better from you.
Very easy, Arul. You see, it actually has just shown that you are not listening carefully.
Okay.
Because when I started, I said, look, Arul, you have come and you have changed the goalposts. In normal circumstances, anybody who does that ought to be told, look, go away, no discussion. I didn't do that. I was considerate to you. Number two, I also said to you, look, if we were going to talk about that, now you want to talk about oaths when you are asking the brother there. And I said, well, if that's the case, okay, we'll go with that. No
Torah
problem.
versus
One
Sharia.
second. No, we'll go with that because you had now, the word Torah had just disappeared when you started. I am the one who introduced it because that is what we had agreed to have a conversation about, Torah and Quran. Now, I'm still saying, look, no problem, I'll go ahead with it. But what you have missed totally, you give me a verse, and I said to you, I don't agree with it. How do we proceed?
What do you mean don't agree? Do you
Exactly.
mean I don't agree that
No.
that verse doesn't exist in the Bible? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I am saying to you, Arul,
You don't agree that that should be in the Bible?
you allow me to speak? Arul, you see, my method is different. And I'm sure you will have seen the videos. I look at the evidence and then we assess the evidence. Okay? You gave a verse from the Quran and you said it was the polar opposite to what the Bible says. And I said to you, okay, give me an example, and you were going to Samuel. Okay? Now, I am saying to you, look, don't I, and you tell me if I'm wrong in the way I'm thinking, don't I have the right to ask you, wait a minute, Arul, I can see as a Christian you are going to Samuel, but I am thinking, is that part of the Torah or is it not part of the Torah? If it is part of the Torah, fine. If it is not, problem. But if then you are going to insist on reading it, I can easily conclude that this has nothing to do with the Creator.
In other words,
How do we proceed?
in other words, your excuse now is...
No, I don't
if
have an excuse.
Now, let me finish now.
I don't
Your
have an
excuse now is, if I pull out verses from the Bible to demonstrate that Yahweh of the Bible clearly is polar opposite to the Islamic Allah, your excuse is going to be, I don't trust in this Bible. That's your excuse.
Are you asking or are you telling?
I'm telling you, that's what
Well, I'm
I
telling you,
perceive
you
from
are
what
wrong.
you're saying.
You are wrong.
To prove it, I'd be
You are
happy
wrong.
to know I'm wrong. Prove to me why precisely you don't even want me to read the portion of scriptures I wanted to read.
Excellent. You see, I never even stopped you from reading them. What I did say, I preempted you and I said, look, the verses you are going to read, okay, don't I have a right to establish whether they are from the source that you claim? That's all I was asking. Now, here, one second,
I'm
Arul.
confused here,
I
Shabir.
know you are.
They are from the Bible.
One second.
If that is what you mean,
Arul,
that is from the
you
Bible.
told me you
What
wouldn't
else are you
interject.
asking?
You would not interject.
No, but you're making
listen,
points which are not advancing
Arul,
anything here.
Arul, I am only saying to you that at this moment in time, you are saying you are confused.
No, that
One second,
I know I'm not confused, but you seem to make points which are thoroughly
Are
confusing,
confusing to you.
and therefore
Okay,
there is
I'll
some
tell-
problem somewhere. That's what I'm trying to imply here.
There is a big problem, but I tell you what, I think that the understanding here is at cross. At cross purposes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow you to proceed.
Good, thank you. So Shabir, by this time, I think many people might have forgotten what I was trying to say earlier. Quran.
No, you were saying from
Quran,
Surah
I
66,
read 66
you read
verse 2.
about him releasing people from the
66 verse 2, Islamic Allah thinks people going against their oaths could lawfully happen, and in this particular case, it's not even lawfully happening through the motivation of the people involved, but rather of Islamic Allah himself. Islamic Allah is introducing that lawful deviation, lawful absolution. In contrast, I'm going to read to you a passage from scriptures, the Bible, 2 Samuel chapter 21 verses 1 to 14. The first few are the important bits, the first few verses. The rest are just so you get a historical context right. Now there was a famine in the days of David for 3 years, year after year. And David, King David, inquired of the Lord, of Yahweh. And the Lord, Yahweh, answered, "It is because of Saul, King Saul, and his bloodthirsty house, because he killed the Gibeonites." Because he killed the Gibeonites. And the context of this essentially is that if you read Joshua 9, chapter 9, verse 1 to 7, let me give you a brief outline of the history there. Gibeonites are part of Canaanites. When Israel had to march into Canaan, they had to wipe out all Canaanites. Now the moral aspect of that, I'm willing to have a debate on that on some other occasion. Right now, the point is, Israel were asked to do a particular thing, remove them from that land. But what ended up happening, Gibeonites, which is one particular group there, they had deceived Joshua. They deceived by saying, "Oh, we are not really from here, we are foreigners, we are just here briefly, we are foreigners." So Joshua was misled to think that Gibeonites weren't Canaanites and therefore weren't part of the people group he was supposed to eliminate from the land. That was the context. In that context, Joshua was willing to make a covenant with the Gibeonites. Without verifying with God, he made a covenant, and that covenant was, "You're not part of the people who I was supposed to wipe out. You are here, you are saying you're foreigners, fair enough. I would leave you behind. I would leave you behind alive, and you can live under our protection." That was the oath. Later on, he got to know that Gibeonites were really from Canaan. Later on, Joshua got to know, not long after that, he got to know they were really Canaanites, at which point now he had no way to trace back his oath, the covenant, and therefore all that he could say was, "I gave you a word. I know you deceived me. Even though you deceived me, I have no way to go against my oath." In other words, Yahweh does not allow absolution. That was what happened in the case of during the time of Joshua. Fast forward, come to King David's time. What is happening here? King David got to know there was famine for 3 years, and the reason for the famine was the people to whom a covenant was given by Israel, the Gibeonites, were killed. Some of them were killed by King Saul's house. Enemies, wicked people, all those things. But a covenant was given, and because a covenant was given, here, when the covenant was breached, Yahweh says, "I'm going to punish Israel." Keeping a covenant is very important for me. In other words, simple point, Yahweh wants people to keep their word at all times, no matter the circumstance. Islamic Allah, willy-nilly, for simple things in life, just to have one more lady here, one more lady there, thinks you can be absolved from your oaths. And this is a very, very scary thing to me. When you get married to someone, I'm assuming Islamic Allah would want you to keep the oath. But it seems like that is not the case. That is my challenge. Polar opposite. How could these two at the same time be God? Obviously they can't be, is my challenge. Shabir, I'd invite a legitimate way, a reasonable way from you to respond in saying, how can you resolve the polar opposite attributes of the true God of the Bible versus the Islamic Allah of the Quran?
in response, because you are going quite lengthy, I think we should reduce it a bit so we can have an opportunity to have a conversation, okay? But in summation, you are saying that the whole of the Bible tells you very clearly you must not go against your oaths. Whereas according to you in Surah 66, according to your wording, willy-nilly, it doesn't say that, but since you use the word willy-nilly, and you use the example of marriage, yeah? All the while you are speaking, I'm thinking to myself, I thought Brother Arul would logically apply himself to the conversation. And hopefully you will do that, yeah? But I don't look at it that way. You see, you have taken one verse, yeah? And it is like, that's all Islam says. It doesn't. There are many instances, yeah, as Muslims, and I'm sure you will be aware, where we are told, okay, we must not lie, we must not cheat, yeah? You can Google it, you don't need any. You must not cheat, you must not do this. Be just, even against your own self. Now, that's Surah 4, 135. I'm asking you this, Arul, because I did say when we started, apply reason in so many words, yeah? When it says I have to be just against myself, yeah, and I have an oath to do something with someone, and I willy-nilly, according to you, break it, am I being just against myself, or am I being unjust against myself? I'll ask you to think about that, number one. Number two, you see, this conversation that you have brought, in a nutshell, okay, we can end between the polar opposite of the Bible creator and the Quran creator. My view is the creator is one, and everything that the creator does is consistent. If there is inconsistencies between what is contained in the Bible and in the Quran, then I can confidently assert that the Quran, as in Surah 5 verse 48, tells us very clearly that it is the one that oversees everything that had come prior. Then if there is any misunderstanding in here, it is the misunderstanding that we need to remove. Now, if I were to say to you, right, listen, Arul, yeah, your reasoning is that everything that the Bible contains is all about justice, all about truth, all about...
Sorry, I'm listening. I'm listening.
No, I don't speak to people who are doing two things at the same time.
No, I'm listening. Shabir, you must...
Are you sure?
I am
okay,
listening.
I'll carry on then. Yeah? You see,
I'm
because...
taking notes as you're speaking.
Not a problem. You see, because I know that as a Christian, from Genesis to Revelation, you must accept everything, okay? So, when it tells you that you must keep your oaths no matter what, yeah, in your conversation, I think it was with Shamsi, yeah, you made it very clear that look, you are told to deceive, yeah, because you referred to Surah 3, okay? This goes to the heart of what you are saying, because I'm not only talking about oaths, yeah? Let's, like I said to you, let's cut the chase. Let's look at what one basis can demolish the whole edifice, okay? So I would say to you, look, if I was looking at the Bible, okay, and you tell me that you must keep your oaths no matter what, yeah, I would suggest to you that, look, as human beings, the Creator gives us the guidance, and the guidance is for our benefit, not for the benefit of the Creator, unless you believe that God can come down as a man. That's a different issue, okay? So I would ask you, Arul, if I were to tell you that, look, the agreement or the oath, yeah, especially in the context of Surah 66 that you brought up, and you are aware of it because of what had happened between the Prophet and the wives, okay? In certain circumstances, if me and you have an agreement and you breach the agreement, am I entitled to nullify it?
Is that a rhetoric question?
No, I'm asking you.
So now, is it my chance?
No. And you see, I said a conversation. And in a conversation, like when you asked me a question, I answered and then I proceeded. Yeah, and you proceeded also. One second, Arul.
Please
I'm
saying, go on.
No. I told you we'll have a conversation. So I'm asking you now, yeah, that if me and you have an agreement okay, and you break that agreement, am I entitled to also break it?
I'm not sure if that's relevant.
I thought you would say that. So let
This
me
is
go
not
forward.
relevant.
Okay, so what is happening here is this. If I were to say, look, according to my understanding of the Bible, okay, the Creator, according to the Bible, in fact, the contents are replete with the Creator himself being quite deceptive, yeah? Him deceiving, forget about human beings. Now, I would ask you that, look, I've given you the explanation about the verse you brought up. The 2 Samuel one, I'm saying to you, look, if I were to kindly ask you to go to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 14, verse 9. If you can go to that and let's just read it so that we know where we are. If you can just please. Yeah? I'll hold it for you if you want.
I'm assuming somewhere down the line you're going to reconcile the attributes that we just spoke about.
Oh,
Somewhere
yes,
down
yes, yes.
Ezekiel
14:9.
Ezekiel 14:9.
Yeah.
And if the prophet is induced to speak anything, I, the Lord, have induced that prophet, and I will stretch out my hand against him and destroy him from among my people Israel.
Okay. When it says, I have induced, what does the word mean?
So sorry, Shabir.
Oh,
I'm,
no.
I'm planning to have a Shabir. I'm not here for a Q&A. I'm not here for an interrogation. I'm here for a discussion. I have raised a challenge. I'm going to give you time for you to make your points.
I made it.
Have you made that? In which case I can
made
go
it.
back. I can
No.
go back.
One
to
second,
some
one
of
second,
your-
one second, Arul.
Yeah.
I told you I am not going to have. One second, Arul. At the start, I made it very clear. In all honesty, Arul, this conversation I'm only allowing. Yeah, and I'll tell you. I am saying to you that when the verse is telling you something, okay, I am suggesting to you that that particular verse is very clear. It is talking about the Creator deceiving people. Very clear. The Creator is saying, one second, the Creator is saying, I deceive. Now, what I said to you is, look, you can do that as much as you
go
want.
on.
The point is, I'll read it for you, okay?
Now, yeah,
Brother,
you
can I
by
just-
all means read it and
Can you
make
just
your
hold this?
points.
Thank you. Yeah?
Yeah, by all means,
Eh,
you can read and make
right.
your points, and then I'll jump in with my response.
No. I would expect you. I would expect you to respond to my question like I did to yours.
I'll come back with my response. I'll
Yeah.
jump in
Okay.
with my
Good.
response.
Good. Excellent. That is. Now, I have made it very
I
clear.
think Shabir might want to come here. Just
Oh,
for a second.
sorry. Yeah. Can you see me? Am I handsome enough?
We're fine.
Okay then. Right. Okay.
Within the limitations of technology.
Right. 14, verse 9. Yeah? It says, I am Jehovah, and when the prophet is inveigled so that he speaks a word, I, Jehovah, have inveigled that prophet. What does the word invade mean? Can we Google it, please?
No.
The word
Shabir,
invade.
Shabir.
One second.
Shabir.
Arul, look.
He's being
I think
brought up.
I think what you need to understand, in a conversation, Arul, you have your way of doing things. Let me have mine. Don't impose on me. All I am saying to you is, look, the whole basis, and I did say that, the whole edifice can be demolished if I can prove to you, using only one verse, that the Creator, according to the Bible, deceives. And if that, one second, if that is the case, then anything you subsequently say has to be justified in the context.
I'm talking about keeping oaths.
Let me finish.
Keeping oaths.
Let me finish. Arul,
Shabir,
let me finish.
talk about
Have you
keeping
found
oaths.
it? What does it say?
Persuade someone to do something by means of
what?
deception or
Shabir.
Now, whoa. Don't, calm down, Arul. Look, I am saying to you, the word is very clear that this is what, according to Ezekiel 14:9, according to the Bible, God personally deceives. Now, in one of the videos, you made it very clear to whoever you're speaking to that when they refer to Jeremiah, oh, no, it wasn't God directly deceiving. Well, this particular...
Shabir, I'm willing to have a long conversation with you
Arul,
about deception.
Arul,
I'm willing to have that.
Right.
But today,
Arul,
not that.
Arul,
We're talking
Arul.
about keeping oaths.
Arul, you are...
Simple.
Arul, no.
Sticking
Arul,
to your word.
Listen. You said, you said to me, you've come with an agenda of what the discussion should be. I said to you, look, are we going to include the whole of the Bible? Yes, we are going to include it. Now, how I'm making the point, and I made it clear to you, that look, when it comes to the ideas of deception, breaking of oaths, etc.,
they're not the same.
One second. If I can finish, Arul. For you to use the Bible is virtual suicide, respectfully. Now, why I'm saying that I'm using this verse, as I told you, you see, when you talk about oaths, these are legal elements, okay? I will give you an example, and I want you to follow this through, The rabbis, okay, collectively established 613 commandments, okay? 248 were positive, 365 negative. Out of that, number N294, it says, according to their understanding of the Torah, very clearly they say that if a person commits a sin under duress, they are not to be punished. That they have gleaned from the Bible. The question I would ask is, if their understanding of the Torah is that if you commit a sin under duress, it is not to be considered a sin. If you are forced to lie, according to them, you don't get punished. Now, I'm saying to you, if you use the Bible to try and justify how just, for want of a better word, the Creator is, then you are committing virtual suicide. Now, I'm asking you, according to Ezekiel 14:9, you talk about oaths. I'm suggesting to you that the very being that allegedly is telling you to keep your oaths is himself, I'm using the word himself, telling you that he deceives people. Now, I'm asking you, Arul, a simple question. According to Ezekiel 49, if you agree with me that yes, the Creator is saying he deceives, then anything else that he says has to be taken with a pinch of salt. Do you agree?
Shabir, is it my turn now?
Your turn.
Good, thank you. Shabir, I thank you very much that in the 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes of your response, I do not see, apart from the last half a minute or so, I don't actually see a proper response to the point that I raised, which is keeping oaths. Duress is the only explanation I saw there, nothing else. And you, of course, because you couldn't answer the question I am raising, you're going all over the place, bringing in the idea of deception. I'm willing, by the way, I'm very, very willing. I had that with Shamsi the other day. I'm willing to have a debate with you, Shabir, on deception, Islamic Allah versus Yahweh. Very, very open. Let's do that maybe next time you're here. Let's try and do that. But that is not the point of conversation here. Muhammad with his wives, no duress involved, even if you think duress is an excuse. Here we're talking about his wives, no duress involved. The point was about a simple oath, and Muhammad, Allah, I'm assuming you would think, Allah doesn't go through duress from anyone, and therefore I'd expect him to uphold a superior moral quality, which he doesn't seem to. He legally sanctions absolution from oaths, which is something which Yahweh does not do, even if it means a few people are going to die. Gibeonites, the point I raised, the point was Gibeonites, Canaanites were supposed not to be touched purely because an oath was given. Now let me go back to a few points you raised. Thankfully, Shabir, quite early in the conversation, thankfully, you said we could end the conversation here, because you said obviously Islamic Allah is different from the Bible.
I didn't say
I'm
interjecting. No, I'm sorry. I'm interjecting.
Shabir,
No.
Shabir.
No, Arul,
Okay,
I will end this conversation now. Do not put words into my mouth which I have not said. You did that with those two brothers. I noticed. One second, Arul.
viewers
one
would notice
second.
again, Shabir.
One second.
The point you made.
Look, the viewers, I appreciate and I respect the viewers, whoever they may be. But what you are doing is being very conniving, and that is not very Christian-like. Okay, let me say
Shabir,
one second, Arul, 1 second.
Here. Let's get back to my
nor are
turn.
you my judge. Let me say what I want
And
to say.
I never judged you. I let you
interjected.
make your point when you were making points.
Listen, I said to you at the start, I want a decent conversation. You are making too many snide remarks, and I am aware of them. 1 second, let me finish.
Shabir.
Let me finish, Arul. I don't come here to have these kinds of banter. I come here to have a reasonable conversation. Now, you must understand something you seem to not be able to understand. If I have given my response,
Yep.
one second. No. When I have given my response, it is entirely your decision to say whether I answered it or not. However, after I have given my response, I asked a question. That is what you should respond to first before you go on to your other points.
That is what you are dictating.
No. It's only reasonable.
Shabir, I let you speak. Can I speak now? It's my turn. You just seem to be offended.
No, I'm not offended.
So-
I just think you are being very conniving.
Thank you. Let everyone
I'm
judge.
sure.
Let people judge, and let an overall
I'm
God
not-
judges overall.
Are you doing
Shabir,
this? Are you doing this for the people or for us to
Shabir,
understand?
Shabir,
Come on.
why did you bring the cameras?
Hey?
Why did you bring the cameras?
Why did you wait for the cameras?
Because I want people to listen.
I
You
do,
don't seem
but
to want to do that for
but
some reason. I don't know why.
do, but in a reasonable way, not
Shabir,
like
Shabir,
this.
let's not do these. We don't. I mean,
Right? Can you just go ahead?
so
Go
anyway,
ahead.
all the deception.
Don't worry
showing
about
the-
us. Worry about you.
No, that's
Carry
fine.
on.
So, you somewhere in your response, you essentially said we could end the conversation here, and you said if the Quran goes against the Bible, which seems to be the case here, Islamic Allah legally sanctions absolution from oath, and here in the Bible, Yahweh thinks even in the worst of your situations, you still need to keep your oath. That seems to be the polar opposite difference, and you suggested when we encounter such a difference, the only recourse you would have is to suggest that the Quran is the one which supersedes. You said the biblical revelation has been superseded by the Quran according to the Quran. I think you mentioned Surah chapter 5, I think. That is what you said. I didn't put words into your mouth. You can check out your recording. That was your explanation. I'd like to thank you at least for saying that you haven't got any other valid explanation for the fact that there is polar opposite characteristic between the Islamic Allah and Yahweh clearly showing up there. You then also went on to make a remark about the Quran talking about us having to be just and so on and good and so on. You made that at the start. My problem is this. If a person makes 10 truthful statements and 2 untruthful statements, by simple convention of language and practice, we'd call him a liar,
Okay.
not a truthful man.
Okay.
The moment you have one immoral attribute, and in this case that being absolution of oaths, i.e. not having to keep your word, if that is what is coming from Islamic Allah, we could go through all other attributes a bit later. The moment we see this, we already see an immoral Islamic Allah who can't be reconciled with the Yahweh of the Bible. You also said Islamic Allah might have suggested this. I don't think you made this point quite in this way, but you were talking about whatever Islamic Allah said was for our benefit, not for his benefit, not for the benefit of the Creator and so on. Absolutely, that is not the point here. I'm not asking who benefits from what. All that I'm asking is, what is the characteristic of Islamic Allah versus the characteristic of Yahweh? Islamic Allah seems to be quite casual with, even for simple things about this lady and that lady, even for simple things like that, he seems to be quite all right with people not keeping their word.
I'm sorry,
and
Arul,
I'm saying
Arul.
Yahweh does not
we-
allow that to happen.
Okay, no problem.
In other words,
one second, Arul.
I'll come.
You are taking too much time.
But making sensible
restrict it.
comments
Not
about
at
the
all.
topic we're talking about.
They are illogical.
Islamic Allah
Can we just
is
restrict
polar
it?
opposite to Yahweh.
Okay.
You haven't
Right.
given a reasonable
Right.
explanation as to why this is the
Okay.
case.
Can I-
could suggest, if
Can
you
I-
just
no,
give
no,
me
no,
one moment,
no.
I could
Arul,
suggest
come on.
why
Be
this
fair,
is the
be
case.
fair.
1 minute.
No,
and you can-
no. It's my.
I could suggest why this is the case, and the suggestion that I have
Go on.
is the God of the Bible, with all his signs and wonders, is the only true God
Okay.
who cares about morality.
Yeah.
Islamic Allah, on the other hand, doesn't seem to have a proper standard of morality.
Yeah,
And
okay.
in this particular
Okay,
case,
fine.
not caring to
Right.
stick to his word.
Okay.
Therefore, I earnestly invite you to come to the one who has a superior
Okay.
moral standard, Yahweh.
Excellent.
Islamic
Yeah.
Allah
Can-
would not even keep his word in regards to you going to
Okay.
heaven. Forget about him.
Right.
Come back
Excellent.
to Jesus.
Okay. Now you see, Arul, you made so many points, but the ones that I would really like to respond to are the ones that are appropriate to the conversation. I said to you very clearly, sorry, yeah. My coat is getting heavy.
whose is this?
Right, it's ours. Right, Arul. You see, you said something quite important. Yeah, you said if a person tells eight truths and 2 lies, you, according to your standard of the Bible, would consider him a liar.
Normal convention.
No, I was going to come to that. 1 second. And you also said that conventionally speaking, that is how one would be viewed. Okay, no problem. I asked you, and I even told you, and I'll repeat it again just in case you missed it. When you referred to that particular surah, I then said in response, look, in Surah 4:135, this is what it says about how we have to be just even against ourselves. Now, what you seem to have totally missed is that if there is any issue about the suspension or the absolution of oaths, there is a specific reason to it. I think it totally missed you. I then referred to N294 of the 613 commandments as evinced by the Jewish scholars. They say that it is not a sin if you are going to be accused of a sin which was done under duress. Now I then said to you, wait a minute, Arul, if you are saying 8 truths and 2 untruths makes the person by convention a liar, I then said to you, okay, Ezekiel chapter 14 verse 9 says that God directly deceived. Now,
Never does.
whoa, 1 second. God directly deceived. I'll read it again for the purposes of clarification.
Show me, just because you brought that up, just because you brought that up, Shabir, show
Arul,
me one
Arul,
person
Arul,
in the Bible who
Arul,
God deceived.
Arul,
One person,
Arul,
please.
calm down. I didn't interject. Now I've told you very clearly. I am asking you, and I get, brother, is there a problem? Are you talking to me or are you talking to him? Oh, okay, that's fine. Ezekiel 14:9. Brother, I know I'm disturbing you, but can you just pull up the word invade again? Right? And you see, now it will make sense to you when I said that, look, if we wanted to end this conversation with one statement, and there are a few others which I haven't even referred to yet, one statement, here, chapter 14, verse 9 of the book of Ezekiel is very clear. Okay? I want you to tell me, when it says here, I am Jehovah, and when the prophet is invade so that he speaks a word, I, Jehovah, have invade that prophet. What does the word invade mean?
Persuade someone to do something by means of deception or flattery.
Now, does it say here that the Creator, Jehovah, according to the biblical understanding, deceived this particular individual? Yes or no?
Shabir, I am willing
it's a
to have a
question.
long
It's a simple
I know,
question.
but
Yes or no?
irrelevant to
Arul,
the conversation now.
Arul, 1 second. I'll tell you how it is relevant. You need to expand your understanding. Yeah, you see, Arul, if according to your understanding and your view, which you hold strongly, Arul, you said very clearly, a person who says 8 truths and 2 lies conventionally is called a liar. I'm saying, listen, you are referring to 2 Samuels, you are referring to how oaths must be held to. I'm saying to you, wait a minute, how in the world are you trusting something where the very author is saying that he is a deceiver? Now, I'm asking you a simple question. According to this verse, Arul, does it say God deceived this person? Yes or no?
Shabir, is that your turn?
No, I'm asking first, and then I can go forward. Yes or no? Is it saying
My
that-
response, Shabir, is clear. Yahweh of the Bible. I have read my Bible carefully, right through, and I can challenge you. God of the Bible does not deceptively act. Period.
Okay, Arul.
Period.
Arul.
Now, can I please also
I'm sorry.
suggest
No.
that's an
Arul,
ocean
Arul, my friend.
you can hide in,
Arul,
which I don't
Arul,
want to happen.
Arul, you are
Can
drowned in it. I am not even hiding.
That's
Listen
fine.
to me, Arul.
Can we please
Listen,
come back?
I have come back. I don't think you are conceiving of what I'm saying. I'll simplify it a bit more. Listen, Arul. I said to you, if you are going to accuse or rather suggest that the Quranic creator, okay, allows willy-nilly, according to you, to break oaths, I'm saying, wait a minute, I have explained to you. Are you familiar with the 613 commandments as evinced by the Jewish scholars? Are you familiar with them?
I am.
You are. So N294, where it says very clearly, one second, where it says very clearly that, look, if a person sins under duress, they are not to be punished. Now, you see, Arul, you need to expand your thinking. What I mean by that is that there are going to be reasons or certain actions that are going to be undertaken by people which were forced on them. So, for example, if somebody forces you or puts you under pain of death to deny the Creator, and you deny the Creator, are you found guilty according to N294? The answer is no. I know you will not respond. Okay, now I'm asking you a simple question, Arul. According to your standard, this standard of keeping oaths even to death, as you said, I'm asking you a simple question based on that. According to the very same book, which is talking about the God that you believe in, which is apparently polar opposite, in Ezekiel 14:9 is saying very clearly, he deceives a person directly. I'm asking you a simple question, Arul, in the context of this moral aspect. Do you agree that according to Ezekiel 14:9, here I'm reading it, it is saying God deceived this particular individual? Yes or no?
Which individual?
Do you want to read it? I thought you've read the Bible.
I
Here,
know. Which
I'll read it
individual?
again.
Do you have a
I'll
specific
read
name
it.
there?
I'll read
Please,
it.
please
I'll
bring
read it
that up.
again. It actually says, I have deliberately deceived the prophet.
Which one?
Does it matter now?
It really
Oh,
matters.
excellent. Let's go
Because
back. Let's-
you see,
excellent.
this is what
excellent.
Samshi did the other day.
No. Excellent.
This is what Samshi did the other day.
Excellent.
He brought in a case where God hadn't deceived anyone, but because Samshi can't read beyond a particular word, not the entire statement.
Excellent. The whole thing here is about what? Prophets.
Which
False prophets?
Which ones?
Here, false ones. Okay. Now, I'm asking
So which
you. One
particular prophet is that talking
One
about?
second. What, do you want the context as well? No problem.
Which particular prophet is that talking about?
I'm so glad you are asking me that. It means you have taken actually a step forward. Good.
Now,
one second.
let
My
you
friend.
finish, and then I need
my
to move
friend.
on now.
No, here it is. It is taking you and some of the elders of Israel at chapter 14. Start. Okay. It talks about them. You carry on reading it. Here is the classic issue which you are now trying to...
Have you got
One
an
second.
answer, Shabir?
I'm giving you the answer.
Which prophet was deceived?
I'm giving you the
Please
answer.
give me the answer.
I am giving you the answer. Okay? I am telling you here, when it comes all the way back to here, the question that is being asked and you are now trying to avoid is simple. Can you read yours as well?
No, Shabir,
Read yours as well. Come on. Come on, Arul. Come on. It is a very important
I'm not here
issue.
to play
Okay, I will.
some little games here. I am here to deal with serious
I'm trying
moral
to, but I think
issues.
Brother Arul is having
Shabir,
a problem.
My challenge in that regard.
It's a moral issue. I'll tell you what.
Have you finished now?
1 second. 1 second. No,
I'll let you finish.
I asked you a very simple one. 3 times I'm asking, and I'll ask you again. Okay? The whole of the chapter is there. You can read it as well. I'm here. I'm telling you where it is talking about. I, Jehovah, am going to reply to him. I, Jehovah, have deceived that prophet and will swing my hand over him and rout him out. The question you are asking, well, listen to your logic. I'm saying to you, wait, whether it's James, John, Jesus, Muhammad, Arul, Shabir, whoever, the issue is not that. The issue is, does it say that he, God, is the one deceiving? Yes or no?
Is that an end of your turn?
No, I'm asking a
No,
question.
you're asking me many
Arul.
questions.
I haven't asked you, I've only asked you one. Does it
For
say
how
here?
long?
Does it say here? Because you are not
how
answering.
long?
You keep going all over.
No, you
I'm
make
ask-
your points and then let me respond. Please,
Arul,
Shabir.
you have been accustomed to having these kinds of discussions. I don't have discussions like this. I said a conversation, and part of the conversation is that when a question is asked, like you had asked me, I responded to it.
I never asked you such questions. I finished I presented to you a case for you to respond
I'm saying,
back.
okay, I'll tell you what, in 2 points. Number one, I gave you a very clear indication of what the Creator is saying to us. If you want to misconstrue it, that's entirely your decision about the Quran in Surah 66.
So-
Okay, one second, let me finish. Yeah, I now am saying to you, look, whatever basis of morality you seem to hold as being superior from the Bible, I am saying to you, look, according to the standards of the Bible, everything, unfortunately, is a total fail. Why? Because this verse here, which again you still are resisting and coming out with, which prophet that? No, the issue is not who the person being, who the person being addressed is or ought to be. The issue here is a simple one, and I'm going to ask you one last time, and I hope you have the courage to answer. It says here, I, Jehovah, have deceived that
Can you
prophet.
get the definition again,
Now,
please?
can I ask
Please.
you, 1 second, can I ask you, do you agree that here it says that Jehovah deceived?
So, Shabir, the definition he brought up before us, persuade, not deceive, persuade to do something.
Yeah.
That's the definition, not deceive. Persuade to do something by means of one of two things, according to this definition. One of two things. One of them is deception, and the other one is flattery. That is the definition here. Now, if you want to run, now, excuse me, Shabir, I am now answering. Before,
I'm not saying anything.
good, thank you. If you would listen, please.
I'm listening
My
to you.
point is this.
I can do two things at the same time
reason,
Go on.
The reason I asked you for the name of the prophet there is not because I wanted to find who you think Yahweh was deceiving, but rather my point was because we disagree on the definition, on the meaning of the statements that you are reading, I wanted us to go through the illustration of the example for us to clearly see Yahweh of the Bible does not deceive. There was a particular case I had a discussion with Samshi, where the illustration involved false prophets, Yahweh himself, true prophet, and a king. If you take every single entity involved in that conversation, which Samshi thought God was deceiving, none of them was deceived.
Right.
Every single one knew that a lying spirit had gone out with lies and had spoken to false prophets.
Okay.
Every single one of them knew. No deception involved. Samshi could not even read the context entirely. He was sticking to one word here, one word there. And that seems to be what you are doing there. And that is where I wanted an illustration. Anyway, my point is this. The explanation you have given, what I wanted to discuss about today was about keeping oath. And the point there is Yahweh of the Bible sticks to his word no matter the cost.
Arul.
No matter the cost.
Sorry,
Islamic
Arul,
Allah.
what are you saying? No.
Islamic
Hey,
Allah.
come on, you are not being fair now.
Islamic
Arul,
Allah, on the other hand,
Arul, let's go back to the word in
Surah
vain.
66. verses 1, 2, 3, if I could
Arul,
read.
let's go
O
back to the wording
prophet,
way.
why prohibit you that which Allah has made lawful for you, seeking to please your wives? What duress is involved here? No duress is involved. I'm not saying under duress you can lie. I'm not saying under duress you can break your oath. I'm not suggesting that at all. Yahweh never suggests that to happen. But all that I'm saying is, purely because you brought duress into the picture, I'm just clarifying to you, clearly there is no duress involved. This is a domestic issue between a man and a couple of his wives. That seems to be the problem. No duress involved, unless you're going to suggest Aisha threatened to kill Muhammad, or some other wife of Prophet Muhammad threatened to kill him. If that is what you're going to suggest,
Arul,
that's fine.
Arul,
Allah has made
Arul,
lawful for you, lawful,
Arul,
legal for you,
Arul,
absolution from your oaths, and Allah is your protector. And it goes on to say, when the Prophet confided a fact to one of his wives,
Arul.
and when she afterwards divulged it, and Allah informed him of it, he made known part of it and passed over part.
Yes.
The point here is, if you both turn to Allah repentant, what is repentant according to him?
Yeah.
Not having to keep your oath is repenting.
Right, okay.
To me, that's a weird definition of
Yeah,
repentance, and that is a weird
Arul.
moral character
excellent.
which is of God.
Okay.
And therefore, my suggestion,
Right,
Shabir,
yeah,
is
okay.
instead of you trying to get all your dictionaries and all
Arul,
that,
Arul,
I'm
Arul,
willing to
Arul,
have
are
a
you
long
running?
conversation.
Are you running?
I'm
Are you
willing to
running?
have a long
1 second,
conversation
Arul.
of whether Yahweh of the Bible is a deceiver, or if
Arul.
Allah is the greatest
Arul.
of deceivers,
Arul.
Islamic Allah. I'm willing to
Okay.
have that
Are you
long
finished?
conversation, but not today. The
Right.
point today
1
is
second, Arul.
keeping oaths. Islamic Allah doesn't care to.
Right, Arul.
He advances the
Okay.
idea of not keeping it.
Okay.
Yahweh
Okay,
wants
I'll-
people to keep it.
Right.
He is the only true God. Islamic
Arul,
Allah
Arul.
either does not exist or
Arul,
is
stop.
subhuman in moral
Arul,
character.
please stop preaching so much. Okay, listen. I said very quickly, we are going to conclude now. I think it's, all I said to Brother Arul was, if the foundation is totally destroyed, then anything above it is just pie in the sky, respectfully. Now, this one, okay. Now, here is what I say. What Brother Arul tried, he tried a quick one, and I don't blame him, he had to. He quickly asked you to bring up the thing, the definition. And he then used the other words, apart from deception, he used the other words which according to him may apply to that. And I said Ezekiel 14:9, I'm going to read it again. All I want you to do is respond now, okay? It's a very simple thing, okay? It says here, and if the prophet be deceived and speak a word, I, the Lord, have deceived that prophet. Now, do you agree that the word here is deceived?
The word used here is but the
deceived.
statement is much wider than the word, and the meaning of the statement must be understood in the context of the passage.
I'm so glad. You see, you must do it in the context. You must do it in the context.
Yes,
Yet,
wives,
one second. When it comes to Islam, as I had said earlier on, I said, look, you need to understand, just reading like this doesn't work. However, what you cannot escape from right now is, does it say here, God deceived the prophet? Yes or no?
No, it's a wider statement.
Does it say God deceived according
No,
to this?
it's a wider
Let me read
statement.
it again and tell me if my English is correct. I, the Lord, have deceived the prophet. I, the Lord, have deceived. What does that mean? I'm asking.
Can you please make your point?
I, the
Shabir?
Lord,
Can
have.
you, can you
what
please,
does I, the Lord, have deceived
Can you
mean?
please make your point?
Arul,
first?
I'm asking you a simple question. It's English. I, the Lord, have deceived. What does it mean?
So if I,
What does it mean?
Shabir, let's not play simple games here. The point, the
I
fact of the
think-
matter,
I
the
think
fact of
respectfully,
the
listen,
fact of the
listen,
matter,
Arul.
the fact of the matter, Shabir.
Respectfully, I would say one thing. Go and learn a bit more, and then we'll have a conversation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
But Shabir,
because 1 second.
That's fine.
Because
I'm
Arul,
willing-
because
I'm-
Arul,
I'm-
I've asked a simple question, and all I want is a simple answer before we conclude. Does it say, "I, the Lord, deceived"?
That's not the nature of any conversation, Shabir.
Does it say, I, the Lord, deceived?
Shabir,
Thank you.
a simple point
Okay.
here
I
is
forgive
that
you,
you
it's okay.
don't seem to know how to read a statement in its context. Now, obviously, we disagree on this particular regard. I
we
challenge you
Yeah.
for a detailed debate, and when we do that, I encourage you to bring examples of a few people who God Yahweh deceived,
Right,
and
okay.
we could deal with
I
those
think-
detailed
right, excellent.
cases.
No, no.
Yeah, that's fine.
No,
Now-
Arul.
now-
I tell you
now-
what,
now-
you have,
now-
respectfully,
now-
you have said something very sensible
Now-
now.
now-
Listen, you know what you did? I'm going to say.
I'm not asking you for your comment
no,
on
no,
your
no.
evaluation.
I'm doing
You
what-
seem to jump up and down in terms
I
of your
had to, I
evaluation.
followed you. I'll go with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I said to you, Arul, you have come up with a very good idea now, honestly.
Now,
Yeah, no,
but
one
before
second.
that, can
Arul,
we please
no.
finish up what we're doing
Arul, we've
now?
already concluded God is a deceiver
Conclusion-
according to the Bible.
The
That's the
conclusion
end
is
of it.
Islamic
This one-
Allah does
Yeah.
not keep his word.
You
Yahweh
are entitled
of the
to that
Bible
opinion.
keeps his word. This is
You
not my
are
opinion.
entitled to that
This is
opinion.
straight from your Quran and straight
Arul,
from my Bible.
How can it be when Ezekiel 49
No
says he
opinions
deceives? Come
involved.
on. Yeah? Okay.
About
no worries.
deception, I'm willing to
Calm
have
down.
a
I tell you
long
what,
conversation.
No, I'll tell you what.
When we do that,
Arul.
by all means, bring an example of a person who Yahweh deceived, and then we can see what the
Right.
nature of the
Arul.
dynamic involved is,
Okay.
and then talk about that.
Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do, Arul. Yeah, I'm going to conclude. Look, I respectfully would say that anyone who has, and I don't mean this about you, anyone who has any logical approach, an intelligent approach to subject matter would actually address the matter in detail rather than doing what our brother here just did by referring to one verse. He didn't pay any attention to the verses I had brought up, which clearly are potentially conflicting, but it means that you need to understand what and how oaths ought to be administered. Okay? Now, I can say very clearly that, look, if you are going to take the Quran as the basis for understanding, yeah, then I would equally want to take the Bible as a basis for understanding, and in that regard, I said to Arul very clearly that according to the Bible, it's very clear. I read the statement from the Bible that God deceives. Now, if according to the verses, and there's only one, there are many others we can address, but what I would not want to do, as Arul has done, is just take one, sometime totally out, and he did refer to the context, totally out of context. I do know one thing, that if we have a detailed discussion, subject matter chosen and subject matter will be abided by, rather than what Arul did quickly, came here and changed the whole goalpost. I forgive him for it anyway. Yeah. At the end of the day, I can have with you, Arul, a detailed discussion, debate, call it what you want, on a subject matter, and I can confidently assure you, you will agree with me that the Bible ought not to be the book collectively as guidance for humanity.
So shall we-
one second, if I can just, yeah. So what I want you to do, Arul, agree with me a particular topic and don't change it midway.
I did not change
No,
it,
you changed
Shabir.
it totally when you came.
Nature,
No,
moral nature of God, and I specifically chose.
Arul,
Go on, I let
we
you
had
finish.
agreed legal elements. The video is up,
Yeah.
and you
can
came.
check out the video.
And that's
Nature
one
of
of
God.
them. And that's
Nature
one of
of
No,
God
no.
is an expression I used.
No, I said it should have been a collective one. Yeah, I'll tell you why, brother. You see, he
I
went
realize you were the
specific.
Supreme Court justice.
I honestly, I can take this and ride with it, hold it. But I don't want that. We
Shabir,
want to
no
come to a
problem.
common
So,
understanding.
Worst case,
Yeah.
there has
tell
been
you
a
what.
misunderstanding.
No,
Possibly,
not worst case.
But best
no
case,
misunderstanding. You changed the
that
goalpost.
I disagree with.
You are entitled to
Morality,
that. Yeah.
Torah versus Sharia, nature of God, Yahweh versus Islamic
tell-
Allah.
right.
Are the statements, are the
I'll tell-
expressions I used. You can check
No,
up the
no, no,
video
no.
later. But if you have a grievance
I-
there,
I-
I'm willing to concede
Arul,
by saying, you know what,
Arul.
in a communication between human beings, there is a chance
Arul,
that things
that-
could have been misunderstood.
not at all,
I'm
no.
willing to have a more
Arul,
detailed sort
let me
of
tell you,
definition this time.
yeah,
But just
let
to
me
quickly
tell you.
add, let's read this.
What have you
does-
done now?
What does Yahweh say? Ezekiel 14, 8, 9, 10. I will set my face against that man and make him a sign and a proverb. I will cut him off from the midst of my people. This is in regards to the one you think Yahweh intends to deceive. What does God say? I'm going to judge him. Even before you get to verse 9, he's talking about him judging him. I'm going to cut him off. Then you shall know that I am Yahweh. And if the prophet is induced to speak anything, I, the Lord, have induced that prophet, and I will stretch out my hand against him and destroy him from among my people Israel. So this is a dealing with
Arul.
false prophets. I'm willing next time, if you wanted to get into the details of this,
Arul.
I'm willing to debate this in detail.
Arul,
But that is what we find
respectfully,
here.
look, Arul,
But
Arul,
respectfully, Shabir,
no,
the
you are
point is
being
simple.
unjust and unfair again. Look, I'm going to make this very simple, and then we will discuss it very quickly. I said to you, God deceives. I read the verse. One second.
That's not even a full verse.
One second.
That's just 2 words.
1 second. Whether there is context to it, whether there is X, Y, and Z reason for why God was justified, because that's what you are effectively saying. God was justified in deceiving. My view is simple. I'm just asking 1 second. All I asked was, did God deceive? Yes or no? It's a simple
Shabir, excuse me, Shabir. I would be extremely surprised if what you were trying to do by picking 2 words in an entire statement is similar to what I did. When you
Did you do that?
When you brought in the idea of duress,
Thank you, you admitted it. I'm so glad.
When you brought in the idea of duress, I was willing to expand
no.
on the context,
Arul.
get into the fact that this has to deal with
Arul,
Muhammad
Arul, no,
with a couple of his wives and so on. That is, I was willing to
Arul,
expand on the context,
Arul.
which you weren't willing to
Arul,
do.
no, you are
Shabir.
not aware of what I was saying. So
Shabir.
let's decide on
Do
what.
you have an answer?
Let's decide
for the
on what.
Shabir, okay. Shabir,
Arul. Forget all that. You are speaking to Shabir. I'm telling you now. Listen. Let's just quickly agree. We need to drive 200
I know.
miles.
You need to go a long way.
Let's agree on a subject matter and don't move the goalpost next time we come.
I did not move.
Yes, you
I
did.
disagree with you.
Yes, you did.
That's fine.
I said legal elements right across. New Testament
Check out,
included.
check
Did
out,
we
check
touch
out.
the New Testament?
New Testament, I
Have
will tell
we
you
touched
precisely
it?
what
No,
Jesus
don't
says
tell me. I
in
just
regards
asked.
to oaths. I can tell you that.
God forbid. No problem, inshallah. Look,
Shabir.
anything on 2 said, please do forgive me. That was not the intention at all.
No,
But what we do,
neither-
no, not at all. Not at all, Arul.
apologize.
But what we do, next time we have, let's talk on the Bible and the Quran in the context of what the creator is. Remember, not the created entity.
Very wide area.
It
We have
is,
done
it
this
is.
already. Even
No,
the
we
last
haven't.
time.
Okay, I tell you
Check
what.
out your video.
I tell you what.
already mentioned this is a wide
Then can you,
area.
can next time, can we
Choose
stick to the
a couple
Torah
of-
and the Quran?
No, choose a couple of
Why not?
specific. I'm answering already.
Okay, go ahead.
Choose a couple of specific attributes,
Okay.
and they in themselves are oceans. And that is why my suggestion is if you want to exchange contact details, absolutely, that's wonderful.
That's
So
exactly
we
what
can
I'm going to do.
precise- well
In
done.
that way,
so we can precisely even describe the wording,
Thank you,
the
Arul.
proposition.
Give me
of
the
discussion.
thing and we'll agree with it and then we'll put it up so everybody knows. In that way, nobody can think we are playing quick ones.
Ask him to sign.
No, what is...
I saw that
Oh, sorry,
video.
brother. Yeah.
He did
What-
not
what-
want to
what-
use the word Bible. He kept repeating the word
Torah and Tanakh, yeah, I know.
This
It's
is
okay.
why,
Arul, what's your contact number?
What is
One
the
second.
Tanakh made of?
Contact number?
No, if you give me your...
It's the card. You just been given one.
Yes, shall I give you my contact?
Please,
email?
yeah?
Yeah, let me...
Oh, that's fine. Email.
Yes, of course, we had the discussion with Shabir there. Apologies again, it turned out to be not exactly how I would have liked it to be, I think. But we did discuss some matters. I think he might have genuinely misunderstood the topic. I'm not sure. But regardless, he did deviate. But maybe he thought we were discussing a topic which he wasn't prepared for, whatever. In any case, the point is not to catch him off guard. We could discuss this again. Even when a person is well prepared, we still think Islamic Allah is a polar opposite to Yahweh of the Bible. Absolutely. And I'm sure when he is well prepared, when the proposition is clearly defined, we would again find that same thing to be true. And that is where I think all of us would be forced to evaluate who the true God is. Obviously, they're not the same.
They're not the same.
So someone somewhere has to be a fake God. Absolutely. And that is something which would be forced upon people to think about. Absolutely. And yeah, that's the challenge. And yeah, hopefully next time we'd have a more informed debate.
Yeah, and the challenge will continue, more debates, and the fools will be exposed.
Well, praise the Lord. Absolutely. Yeah, by God's grace. For the sake of all human beings, we want human beings to be saved. Human beings are the beneficiaries in the conversation.
Of course.
They are friends. It's
Salvation.
only, yeah, absolutely. Deception and so on is what we are up against, not against human beings. Human beings are friends. We want all of us to be saved and come to the Lord Jesus Christ. So God's richest blessings to you. And
To all the viewers.
yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. Bye.